Monday afternoon, just about 1:15, give or take a minute. It's also St. Patrick's Day, so happy St. Patrick's Day to the Irish, to the once a year Irish, to the Irish wannabes. Um, happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm not always certain that driving the snakes out of Ireland was such a good thing. I think every nation should have a certain amount of snakes present, um, as they certainly help balance other ecological um, things. So leave it to me to try to ruin St. Patrick's Day for everyone. I'm online. I came across a phrase today on Instagram, of all places. Dan Harris. Dan Harris um, is the CNN correspondent, I think. I don't know if he still is or not. Let's find out. And I follow him on Instagram, among others, of course. And he had a little clip. And anyway, Dan Harris, let me get back to him. He CNN correspondent, but he is also a meditation practitioner, teacher as well. He wrote the book, several books, but the book I'm referring to specifically is 10% Happier. It seems that this was in the early 2000s. He had an anxiety attack on air as he was reporting on something. And you can see the clip, Dan Harris, anxiety attack. And, you know, it's not a full-blown panic attack. He's professional. He managed to keep things tight. But you could see something was up. And it set off a whole chain reaction of other anxiety attacks. And, of course, the worry and the fear and the frustration that it's going to keep happening again, which feeds into anxiety itself. Having suffered 2 years worth of anxiety attacks, panic attacks in the middle of the night, man, I know that pain and the fear all too well, and I know how it just feeds into that cycle over and over again. So he looked for means of managing it, short of medication, although I don't believe he ruled out medication. He explored different types of meditation and finally settling upon Vipassana, which is insight meditation, which is a Buddhist, not exclusively, but a well-known Buddhist practice. His teacher was Joseph Goldstein, who, along with Jack Kornfield and I forget who, Sylvia Boorstein, I believe, founded the Spirit Rock Meditation Center. Very well-known meditation retreat school. Great place to learn meditation. All of their books, all three of them are well-known authors, and their books are worth reading. Specifically, and I was going to say specifically Jack Kornfield, and then I thought, you know what, I've gotten a lot of value, especially One Dharma by Joseph Goldstein. So I'm not going to play favorites. All of them are very much worth exploring. And Sylvia Boorstein is the one where I learned how to practice metta meditation, loving kindness meditation. And that has proven to be invaluable through the years. So again, I'm not going to place one above the other. At one time in my own practice, all of them have brought value into my life and my learning. So I'll circle back to Joseph Goldstein in a minute. But right now with Dan Harris, let's keep researching Dan Harris. I'm just curious if he's still on air or not, or if he has retired to be a full-time writer and meditation teacher. His book, 10% Happier, when he's asked, has meditation helped you with your anxiety? Has meditation helped you for whatever? And his answer was, meditation has made me about 10% happier, which some people might shrug. But you know what? When you are in the throes of depression, when you are suffering anxiety, when you're having panic attacks, 10% is no small thing at all. 10% is huge. And hey, Savage Batman, how are you? Thanks for stopping in. If you can do something as simple as meditation and be 10% happier, 10% more emotionally secure, 10% whatever, take it. Amazing. Um, I've done nothing but praise my practice, my 30 plus year practice of meditation, and how it delivered me from the throes of having a serious drinking uh, issue, quitting smoking, getting into better relationships. Relationships that have ended in my life have ended on such amazing terms. Um, just the ability to let things go, to not hold a grudge, to smile more often, to engage with people in an open hearted manner where everyone has a place. I don't care why you come here, I don't care what you're bringing, everyone has a place. Dave DeBoss says, let's talk TV. Happy Sunday. I will talk TV. In and out of the conversation. So whatever you bring up, I'll try to respond to. I'll start off that it's been a little while since I've watched TV, but I have a list of shows I want to get back to. One of which being Letterkenny, final season. I also like The Rookie, and I want to get back to that. So, yeah, meditation has made me more than 10% happier. Meditation has given me a life. It helps that I'm a meditation teacher and a breathwork coach. Savage Batman says, I'm good. How are you? I'm good as well. Thank you. So that's the story with Dan Harris. And he is retired, a retired journalist. So no longer, he was with ABC and he was with CNN, I believe, at one time. And now he's full-time teaching and writing about meditation. He has a meditation app that you guys can check out, 10% Happier, based on his book. And his teacher was Joseph Goldstein, and he quotes Joseph Goldstein. Savage Batman says, I liked and shared the stream. I appreciate that, my friend. In the little clip, Dan Harris was talking, and he talked about how he was sharing how much he knew about meditation, and his teacher, Joseph Goldstein, was there, and Joseph Goldstein said, you don't know shit. And they both laughed, because it's true. And he used a phrase that stuck with me all day. An epidemic of certainty that we, across the world as a nation, not everywhere in the world, but let's say in the developed nations of the world, we are suffering an epidemic or a pandemic of certainty. Everyone is so sure and certain about their opinion, that they're right, that this conspiracy theory is 100% true, your conspiracy theory is 100% not true, that my political party is right and yours is wrong, that across the board, we are so certain of what we think, our opinion, our beliefs, our faith, our family values, the meaning we put in life, all of them, we're convinced, we're certain of, that this is true. The truth is, absolutely nothing is certain. I love gymnastics. First I was going to say, you know what, I like gymnastics too. I'm not going to say I love gymnastics. You were probably an ex-gymnast, so I can understand your love, much the way I'm like a former ultra runner. And I could say I love ultra running. I love running. I love walking. Obviously, by my title, um, I absolutely love yoga and I absolutely love doing burpees. So, anyway, I'm going to give you a round of applause for loving gymnastics. It's a beautiful sport, maybe the most difficult of sports, and it amazes me that such a difficult and beautiful sport is subject to a judging system. You know, it somehow seems, I know the judges are qualified, but it somehow seems sort of unfair. You know what I mean? That someone might have a little bias, and that's sort of what I'm talking about overall. And that could influence someone's score. A difference between a 9.8 and a 9.9 or a 9.9 and a 10. Anyway, to answer your question, I'm not going to answer your question. Whether I'm bald or not is a well hid secret that I don't reveal to the world. So you're just going to have to, you know, in your own mind, form an opinion whether you think I am or not. And we'll leave it at that. I love gymnastics. Says fools. Yes, I do fools. Man, good for you. Absolutely amazing. I decades and decades ago, you probably weren't even born, dated a gymnast, retired gymnast, and she taught it for a living. And even being retired, the dedication she showed in her training and her students, absolutely amazing. I think, man, the only other sport that I might put up there, rivaling, maybe a couple. I know swimmers, the amount of practice that they put in to excel in their events is amazing. I used to work at the YMCA, and I would open up the building, mainly because I worked in the gym, and I would open up the gym, but I would see the people opening up the pool, and they were there. I was there at like 5 in the morning, and they were already there hours before me, bringing people in. I love gymnastics, says volleyball. Huh, you know what? I wouldn't have thought of that, but you're probably right. I was going to say tennis. Another one of those sports where people start so early. Swimming, tennis, gymnastics. How you have 8-year-old girls able to take that sport so seriously. It's astounding, you know? When I was 8, I was still eating mud. I was still, you know, running barefoot in the grass and catching bugs and doing silly things that I did all the way up until I was 30. Okay, maybe not that old, but pretty old. And here you have 8-year-old girls, 8-year-old boys out there on the court practicing their backhand on the parallel bars. Parallel? I think that's right. Or the horse, or tumbling, or in the pool. Hey, wait a minute. Before you go, I'm going to go to OU, Sooner Boomers, Oklahoma University. Okay, for a second, I thought you were saying you had to go and that you would see me later, Boomer. And I wanted to correct you that I am Generation X and not a Boomer. I actually have issues with Boomers, but we won't get into that now. Yes, I'm a proud Gen Xer. One of the founding Gen Xers. Oklahoma University. How I know they're big on wrestling. Hey, that's another sport that takes a lot of dedication as well. How's gymnastics for Oklahoma? I know they're big on football. Again, wrestling, there, Iowa, Minnesota, all big wrestling. And now, Penn State. Never used to be, but I think the past 20 years, it's become the big place. I Love Gymnastics says, good, I hope. I hope so too. And you know what? I hope I'm going to put out good intentions and good vibes that you make it there. That not only do you make it to Oklahoma University, but that you excel in gymnastics and scholastics as well. That you have a very happy and successful university career. And hey, if it's your dream, make it all the way to the Olympics. Here's the way I always figure it is, someone's going to make it to the Olympics, right? Someone's going to be in that team. If it's what you want, why not you? I 100% believe in the power of making a wish. And a lot of people think, well, wishes don't get you there. But think of a wish as a boost. That if you put in 100% dedication and effort in your training, in your diet, and all the other stuff, and you can get a 1% boost by making that wish, make a wish. Make it from your heart. Make sure that you're making it in a way that benefits not just you, but those around you as well. And see what happens. For one thing, it opens things up, leaves you open to possibilities. If you don't wish, you're not open to possibilities. You're only thinking that only certain things can happen. But when you make a wish, you're saying, hey, anything can happen. So, I Love Gymnastics says, because they won their whole state gymnastics meet. Nice. Sanjay Roy says, hi, bro. Hey, Sanjay, how are you? I Love Gymnastics says, okay, got to go. I'm assuming GTG. Even as a Gen Xer, I don't know the slang. Means to gotta go. And thanks for the talk. Hey, thank you. I appreciate you coming by and the curiosity over my hair potentiality or lack of it. Sanjay says that he's doing good. Nice. Happy to hear it. So I'm going to circle on back to an epidemic of certainty. Can you imagine going through life under the belief that you are everything that you think, everything you believe is 100% certain? That there is no I love gymnastics. I love gymnastics as LOL. I do appreciate you dropping by quite a bit. You gave me a lot to smile about. Going through life holding that certainty. Think of all the great things. One of my favorite quotes, Thomas Trower, who was I guess you can call him a teacher of metaphysics or a mystic, maybe 100 or so years ago. I got my Google machine up here. Had a wonderful quote on the law of flotation. This was in his Edinburgh lectures, which were fairly well known at one point. The law of flotation. See if I can find. There we go. Of course, I first read this from person who I got many, many great thoughts from decades ago, early 1980s all the way through the early 2000s, Wayne Dyer. This is what Thomas Troward said, that the law of flotation was not discovered by contemplating the sinking of things. Meaning that you had to think of the possibilities of what could float. How something as heavy as a ship, as a liner, as a tugboat, all these big, dense things, how could you ever think of how they float if all you thought about was what sinks? You had to think of the possibility that this could work. Always reminds me of Thomas Edison's famous comment when he was asked about his 10,000 failures of designing a light bulb, getting that filament just right. And his reply was, I haven't failed 10,000 times. I've discovered 10,000 ways that don't work. That's thinking in terms of possibility. And it's also going through life without having the certainty of this is the only way to do things. Noble Scrolling Traveler is here. Hello, sir. Nice to see you again. Nice to see you, Noble. Appreciate you being here. Noble says, much love as always, and to you too, my friend. I think about that because I try to catch myself where I trade my astonishment of life to certainty. That I'm certain my way is right. That I'm certain my political party is right. That I'm certain my views on spirituality are right. Which means those who disagree with me must be wrong. And although I have very set things that I do, if I catch myself in that type of certainty, I want to shift my way back to astonishment that I just don't know. The world is way too mysterious. You know, going back to science, it seems even in science that we have found our way to a certainty that this is the way the world is. And of course, that limits the discovery of what it truly is. And I don't think we'll ever get to the bottom of it because it just keeps expanding. The mystery itself just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. We're not supposed to get to the bottom of it. So I always go back when I talk about politics with a simplicity, paraphrasing the Dalai Lama when he said his religion is kindness, that my politics are kindness. I vote for the political party that reflects my feelings towards openness, kindness, honesty, helping others, compassion, empathy. If I could form a political party, it would be the political party of compassion and empathy. Hey, my friend Brian Lane is here. Brian says, hi, Eric, and wish everyone a blessed day here. Thank you, Brian. Certainty locks you into place, and there's no escape. To be uncertain, that means everything's possible. You're living in a world of potentiality that you're exploring mystery, and more importantly to me, is that astonishment that you get, the curiosity and enthusiasm of life itself. That, you know, Brian's an example here. He posted a video, was it this morning or was it yesterday, discovering a new creek, a new stream. And you just seemed filled with joy of discovering this place that was so beautiful and that you could sit and meditate. That's living the life of mystery, living the life of astonishment. And that's a big, big difference than going through life being certain that the things that you do, the things that you think, the things that you believe are always 100% true. In Zen Buddhism, particularly the Korean school of Zen Buddhism, they ask you to cultivate the I don't know state of mind. that you don't know. It's perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable. More so, it's the truth when you simply say, I don't know. You could say, I suspect, I think, I hope, I wish. But the truth is, you don't know. Brian says, that was like last week. But yeah, it was a great post. Great spot, sorry. Yeah, it looked beautiful. I've been doing lots of little clips on moving water and sunlight. That play of sunlight on water, just highlighting motion. Anytime I can catch anything that sort of gives a feeling for light. Brian says, just got done mowing lawn for the first time this year. It was awesome. Yeah, I guess it's that time this year. I'm seeing right up here, we have the dogwoods in bloom. Always the first sign of spring. When the dogwoods turn white, I know it's officially spring. Now, meteorologically, spring doesn't start until, I think it's the 19th this year. Astronomically, it doesn't start until the 19th. Meteorologically, it starts the beginning of March 1st. Meteorologists base it upon the weather trends that things usually, generally, overall, become warmer the 1st of March. So they count that as, it's also based upon the Gregorian calendar. Astronomically, it is the distance between Earth and the sun and the Earth's travel around the sun, as well as position of the stars. Hence, astronomically. I celebrate both because I like the thought of an earlier spring. I like March 1st. I like that I've survived the fickleness of February and we're now here. It's spring. But I also like that ancient astronomical that we knew it was spring. We knew it was time to build that bonfire and paint ourselves blue and put the antlers on our head and dance around the fire because the stars were aligned. The sun was in that perfect position. Let's see. I'm having a hard time reading. Mad Manly, My Visions. Did I say that right? Our bodies shrink in winter. You know what? I didn't know that. That's a little scary. But I could see that. I guess generally we're less active. Winter, my entire late teens through up to today, I have experienced low-level depression, varying degrees, but it would get really worse in winter, especially when I was a runner, because for a long time, one of the things that kept me sane, so to speak, was getting out and running long distances. And I mean really long distances. And it was very often in the winter I couldn't do that. I was limited. I could get on a treadmill, but if you guys ever done a 20-mile run on a treadmill, it's a slog. It takes a while. And it's definitely a mind game. But recently my depression has been lighter, and winter doesn't quite affect me. I don't enjoy it, greatly, but it doesn't affect me the way it used to. I think it's because I just fully embraced it. I get outside no matter what the weather is every morning, usually 4:30, 5 o'clock, 5:30, always before the sun comes up. I mentioned before the importance of me being out and then getting that first sunlight to hit the eyes. Getting early sunlight does amazing things for the body, amazing things for the mind, amazing things gets you back into the natural circadian rhythm to regulate your sleep. Let's see. Mad. Let's see. The only way I could read your name, and it's not so much your name as my eyesight. Mad Manly My Visions. Mad Mainly is using a lot of words that I am not going to attempt to pronounce until we get to pesticides and herbicides that I can say are extremely dangerous when sprayed during the winter because they can degrade in heat and light. Well, some useful information. It makes sense. And of course here they do spray the outside plants with, even in winter, with pesticides and herbicides, which I'm not always happy about. And I do believe it had a negative effect to my dogs who all suffered lots of issues, health issues, sadly. Brian says, I realize I can practice mindfulness pushing lawnmowers. Yeah, that's actually the perfect time. The repetition, one line out, one line back, one line out, definitely becomes a meditation. Becomes like a Thich Nhat Hanh, the walking meditation, lawnmower meditation, and nasal breathing as well. Perfect time to practice the nasal breathing. Also, it provides a natural filter, so it's actually better for you. When you're mowing the lawn, you know, you're not breathing in the allergens without straight into your lungs. If you were breathing through a mouth breather, through your nose, you provide that natural filter, which helps considerably. I wish there was a way I could expand the phone. It probably is. But you know what? I'm always afraid to experiment because I'll cut everything out. So, just scrolling down to make sure I'm caught up in every comment. Brian, do you practice any type of formal meditation? I mentioned before that I am a certified meditation instructor, teacher, as well as certified breathwork coach and pranayama teacher and yoga. Whenever I say, you know, I got my 200 hours yoga teaching certification, but for me, it's all based upon what I want to present. I think myself less of a teacher and more of a sharer. I share my practice. I share the things that I have a passion for, and that is Buddhist and yogic psychology, just the means of being a little bit happier. Brian says, what is formal? Do you do a mantra meditation? Do you practice Buddhist meditation or contemplative practices, or you know, anything? Hey, I lived in Assis is back. Welcome back. Appreciate you being here. We're talking meditation, which, you know what, when I think of meditative practices, I can only imagine the amount of mental focus that goes into being a gymnast. One wrong move, and you can't even think of those moves going wrong. All you can think about is probably not thinking about anything. It's all precision. One thing leading to the next without any thought acquired. Especially decades of practice. So formal might not be the right word, Brian, but more the lines of um, maybe style would have been a better word, or maybe method. Like I teach primordial sound meditation, which is an ancient Vedic yogic mantra based. It's based upon primordial sounds. Um, Brian says, I practice mindfulness one, just listening to the present moment and just letting the thoughts float. Okay, good. That's what I suspected because I've heard you mention mindfulness before. And also, you mentioned something that is a great interest to me, non-duality. Um, the name of my blog is Headless Now. As a matter of fact, originally, instead of just a yogi doing burpees in his basement, it was going to be headless burpees. And headlessness is a method of self-inquiry presented by Douglas Harding, who was a mystic and an architect. And he discovered one day that he did not have a head, and neither do you. Brian says, also been doing a standing one where I'm pretending nostrils are on feet, and as breathing in, raising hands, and breathing out, pulling hands down. Great. Qigong, very Taoist method. Earth breathing, full body breathing. Montauk Chia has some great methods of standing meditation from the Taoist tradition. Decades ago, I used to practice other forms of standing meditation. It's a great practice first thing in the morning. If I wasn't deeply committed to my practice of sun salutations first thing in the morning, I would be doing a Taoist standing meditation to greet the sunrise. Brian says it's supposed to expand aura. I could see that, and I could see it deepening your feeling of connection to earth and air, that we're conduit between earth and air. One of my favorite yoga poses, Tadasana, tree pose, because it makes me feel at once rooted to the earth and reaching in the air, that I am that the holiness of space found between the two, a seamless expression of earth making its way to air, or air, the infinite, being funneled down to finite form. Definitely one of my favorite postures. So yeah, Douglas Harding, having no head. Highly recommend exploring. If you go to headlessway.com, if you Google up the Headless Way, you'll find non-duality experiments on discovering your own headlessness. And it's an invaluable practice. People are like, what's the practical value of knowing that you're headless? Because you take nothing personally. Nothing is stored here. This is empty. And yet, it's an aware, intelligent emptiness. We can think of it more as capacity. That when you discover your own inherent emptiness, you realize that that emptiness is capacity for the entire world to appear. And it shows us our seamless nature, how there is no place where this unboundness ends and the world begins. There's no place where the world leaves off and I begin. There is just the seamlessness of being. Brian says, just been practicing that now lately. Glad you asked. Always happy to discuss meditation in different forms with anyone, but particularly with my friends, and particularly someone who's as committed as you. So, with that, I'm actually going to do my last meditation practice. I usually shoot for around 2 o'clock. My first meditation practice is at 3 in the morning, and then I do my later evening, since it's evening for me, about 2 o'clock. Breath work, meditation. So that's it for me for today. I'm going to be back later. I'm going to do some reading from my blog, somewhere between 5 and 5:30. Come by, give a listen, ask questions, heckle me, ask me questions like I love gymnastics. Anyone who can ask me a question that makes me smile is pretty amazing in my book. So I'll see you guys then. Also, hey, I'm supposed to remember to say this after every session. Like and share. Oh, Runnerboy says, how flexible are you? You know what? You would think as a yogi that I would be extremely flexible. I'm about average flexible. Some yogic postures I can get pretty deep in. Most of them I can hold for a fairly long time, which is actually more important than how deep. But I am the yoga that I teach, the yoga that I practice, Patanjali's Ashtanga yoga, which is also known as Raja Yoga, which places its emphasis on meditation, pranayama, breath work, and the ethical foundations of the yamas and the niyamas, leading up to samadhi, which is bliss consciousness. So the asanas, the physical postures, play just a small role in the whole thing. And the Yoga Sutras, which are considered one of the holy texts of yogic, if not the holiest text, out of 195 sutras or passages, the asanas, the physical aspect of yoga, is only mentioned 3 times. And it is for the posture of meditation, developing a steadiness and ease in that posture so that you can meditate for longer periods of time. So that's a really long-winded question or answer to Runnerboy's great question. Hey, Brian, do you follow Runnerboy? He is definitely somebody worth following. He has some awesome lifting sessions. Not only that, personally, and you know, I started lifting, I'm 58. I'm a month away from being 59. I started lifting, seriously lifting, meaning that when I was 12, I already knew I wanted to be a bodybuilder. And I trained pretty serious about it for quite some time. I started when I was 12. So, you know, I know a fair amount, but Runnerboy presents what he's doing in such a logical and easy way of explaining it that, you know, even if you're not as much into lifting or whatever, the knowledge that he puts out there is pure gold. And watching him apply it, workout after workout after workout, and making gains, amazing to watch. So yeah, I highly recommend his channel, Brian. As well, Runnerboy, Brian has some awesome stuff. This is a guy who's been through the fire, survived, and is now opening up and sharing his journey, and rep after rep after rep of burpees along the way. Runnerboy says, great stuff. I must try this stuff out. I'm almost able to front split. At one point in my life, I was able to do a side split. I could probably work my way back to it in maybe 3 or 4 months, maybe. But for me, yeah, my emphasis is on breathing into a posture, holding it, and letting go, surrendering, and allowing the subtle energy, the nadis, which are the subtle energy patterns of the spine, as well as the kundalini energy, to manifest through the body. That's been the major emphasis. using breath and posture to attain that steadiness and ease. Because when you learn to do that in a yogic posture, you learn to do that in your everyday life posture, meaning you're not thrown off course. When you've attained steadiness and ease of the mind and the breath and the body, then you're more compassionate, you're more empathetic and open towards other people. When people, present to you a challenge, if people are insulting or whatever, you take nothing personally. You can't take anything personally because it goes right through you. They're addressing this. They're addressing form. They're not addressing essential spirit, which can't be seen by the naked eye. So how could it bother me? Let's see. Bryce, Runner Boy says, yeah, I just use a big breath to help push into them and then let it go and it becomes easier. Try after a few big breaths and those bigger pushes, then start maybe sipping in air and seeing if you can go down just a little bit more as well. See if it helps to nasal breathe versus breathe into the mouth. See which one works best for you. But I think you might find that nasal breathing might work best. So, speaking of nasal breathing, I think Brian is the only one in the burpee community. I know Osiris did it a while back, doing some nasal breathing. And Paul from Oregon as well. It is no fun doing nasal breathing. I know Runner Boy did. You talked about running. Didn't you do a 10K? Was it a 10K nasal breathing? I don't remember, but I remember you mentioning it. Brian says, yeah, I use big breath to help push it in and then let go, and it becomes easier. And he says, yeah, I'll try it with my mouth. Brian says, I breathe, or Runner Boy says, I breathe with my nose when I run. Yeah, I remember reading a long time ago, certain Native American tribes would train young kids to run. They would give them one mouthful of water. And they were set out to run through the desert a long distance. And when you got to your destination, you were expected to be able to spit out that same mouthful of water. Training them to breathe through the nose. You breathe through the nose and you run easier and lighter. You feel less restricted, but it takes time. It does take just a bit of training. After months of doing the nasal breathing burpees, I finally feel like it's become more natural for me. So, all right, guys, we're calling it a night, calling it a day. Again, I'll be back later, do some reading through the blog. Not sure what I'm going to read, but, I'll find something. Everyone who stopped by to say hi, to ask a question, to join in the conversation, really appreciate it. If you don't mind liking, subscribing if you're not subscribed, sharing if you want to share. You don't need to if you don't want to. All of it's appreciated. Hey, just being here is pretty big. Thanks. Runner Boy says peace, and peace to you, my friend. I'll see everyone later.